so let's continue. What you see on my screen now is what we are working our way towards, and we've done 60 of them so far, so we have like 40 plus to go. So let's continue with 61 to 80. So what we want to do now is for the eyelid element, we created that one in the previous lesson. So for the eyelid element, let's select it and then give it a width of 150%, a height of 100%. Now let's do background color. So we are going to use the variable we created earlier. So the name of the variable is penguin face. Okay. Next up, we want to work on the positioning. So let's do a top value of 25%. Okay. Then let's also do a left value of minus 23%. All right. Then we want to give it a border radius of 50% for all the sizes. Okay, so now we have this more realistic looking eye, which is better than what we had before. Yeah, so that works. Okay, now let's look at the eye right element. So say eye right, and we want to add, oh sorry, yeah, this is the eye right element. You already have it. So below it, want to add two divs. What am I doing? The first div is going to have, each div is going to have a class of bush, and then for the first div we want to give it an extra class of left. So I'll just use the shortcut Option Shift and then press down to duplicate it, and then I'll do right for the next side. Okay, give your div a class of blush. Okay, not bush, blush. Okay, so that should be for the blush we have here, these pink blushes. Okay, now let's target the blush elements, and then we want to give it a width, so let's give it a width of 15%. Let's also give it a height of 10%, and then a background of pink. Okay, so that works, as you can see it here. So the next thing we want to do is want to position it so that it is correctly at the place that we want it to be. So let's do a top value of 65%. Then let's also give all corners, so we'll use border radius for that of 50%. Okay. Now let's target the blush. We want to target the blush element with a class of left. So we say dot blush dot left. Bring our curly braces, and then we want to position it 15% from the left. Let's also give the target let's target the blush element with the class of right. So dot blush dot right, and we do the opposite of it. So we say right 15%, like so. Wait, position it 15% of the right of its parent. Okay, let me just remove this. Okay, now that works. Okay, so now below the blush right element, we want to add two div elements. So let's create two new div elements. And each is going to have a class with the value of big. Also, let's give the first, so I'm just going to duplicate it. Let's give the first big an extra class element of top, then the second big will have an extra class element of bottom. All right, so let's target the big element, and then let's give them a height with a value of 10%. Let's give it the background color with a value of orange. And let's also give all corners a radius of 50%. So we'll say border radius. Let's give it a value of 50%, like so. All right, next up, what we want to do is target the big element, but this time around we are targeting the one with the top value, like so, and then we want to give it a width of 20%, and then let's position it 60% from the top and 40% from the left. Okay, right now we have the beak in place. So let's work on the beak with the class of bottom as well. Let's give this one a width with a value of 4%, not $4. And then let's give it a top value of 5% and then a left value of 2%, like so. Big dot bottom, a width. Want to give it a width of, okay, a width 4% smaller than the big at the top. So this one has 20%. So 4% smaller will mean 20 minus 4, which should give us 16. Yeah, so that should be 16% instead of 4%. And then we are told to push it 5% further from the top, which we've done, and 2% further from the left of the big top. So I guess it should be 42. Let's see. A top value of 65. Okay, let's say 60. Why 65 though? I don't understand. 5 further from the top. So if this one has 60, then it should be 65. Okay. Yeah, that works. I think I should read the instructions more carefully going forward. So the penguin's body looks a bit plain. Spruce him up by adding a div element with the class of shirt. Okay, so we want to add this I love CSS. So that's the shirt that we are going to work on. So let's add a div, and then we are going to give this div element a class. The value of the class is going to be shirt. Now let's get to work on the shirt element. So within that shirt element, we want to create a new div, and this new div is going to have this heart emoji here. So let's just paste it inside like so. Okay, now as you can see, we have our emoji appearing on our screen. So we also want to add the text I and CSS. So let's add it below with a P tag. Inside the P tag, we'll say I, bring our space, I, not one, I, and then CSS. Okay, so we can now target the shirt element and set it font size. So let's say shirt. Let's set the font size to, I think 25 pixels will do. Let's also give it a font family with Helvetica as the value, and we want to give it a fallback of sans serif, and we also want to give it a font width of bold. Okay, there you go. Now moving on, we know that in some browsers the heart emoji may look slightly different from the previous step, and that is because some of the characters properties were overridden by font width style of bold, which we added previously. So we want to fix this by targeting the div with the heart emoji. So let's go to our HTML, and where do we have the div with the heart emoji? Yeah, there's the div with the heart emoji. And as you can see, it is inside this shirt div. So the way we can target it is to say dot shirt, because we are targeting this div with the class and want to look inside it. So we'll leave a space and then add div. So this means we are targeting the div inside the shirt element. Okay, so we want to give it a font width. Let's set it to its original value, and the original value is normal. So you want to set the font width to normal instead of the bold that may have occurred. Now position the div with the heart emoji 22.5 pixels from the top. So let's give it a top value of 22.5 pixels. Let's also give it a left value of 12 pixels. Now let's position the shirt element itself 165 pixels from the top. 165 pixels. Now let's push it away from the left. So we use the value of 127.5 pixels. Okay, so now our shirt is correctly positioned, but it is actually behind the penguin. So we want to increase its stacking order such that it appears above the penguin body element. So the way we're going to do that is to say, let's use the Z index. Let's give it a value of 1. All right, that works. Now for the shirt's final touch, we want to set the color to this hex code here. So I'm just going to copy the hex code, and then I'll go ahead and set the color property to the value of the hex code. And then we are done with the shirt. So the next thing I want to do is want to start working on the legs. So we know that penguins cannot stand without at least 2 feet. So within the penguin body, which we have right here, we want to create 2 div. I'll first create the first div. Each is going to have a class of foot. I'll just hold Option and Shift and then press down to duplicate it. The first is going to have a class of left, and the second is going to have a class of right. Now let's target the foot elements. Give them a width of 15% and a height of 30%. So foot width of 15%, height of 30%. Let's also give it a background color with a value of orange, like so. All right, so as you can see, we have this box here which we are going to use as the feet, as you can see here. All right, but we've already done 80, so let's pause here and then continue in the next one. All right.